Yeah, hi there. These comments are for A, and I am Michael Buckoff, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT. And I'm using just the letter A to refer to you for privacy purposes. And let's take a look at your situation. So you say, I am from Saudi Arabia. I have studied in the USA for 7 months. I took the TOEFL test and I got 61. I'd probably say here I got a score of 61. Then you have reading 14, listening 18, speaking 17, and writing 12. You say, but I need to get 80 to be accepted. I'd probably say something like this. When you're using that coordinating conjunction, you want to put the comma before it. Say, so I have from 2 to 3 months. As you can see, I have problems in my writing and reading. I think there's more than that. You got problems in all areas. You have a lot of speaking problems too. 17 out of 30. That means that you have a lot of language use problems. You're having problems with both grammar, vocabulary. You're also having some problems with your pronunciation and how you're organizing and developing your responses. So you really need to make improvements in all areas of the exam if you want to get 80. You might say something like this. Okay, let's say maybe right here is when you need to end the sentence. So would you mind giving me some pieces of advice? Thank you. Yeah, I don't see the spelling problem being that much of an issue. I see more in your writing right here. I see more problems with your grammar, combining your sentences, using, for example, you need to get 80 to be accepted to a graduate program. Sometimes you're not able to fully express your ideas. So I think the spelling, to be honest with you, is probably the least of your worries right now. But if you do want some advice on spelling, my recommendation is start keeping a journal, a spelling journal, where when you're reading like newspapers and books and things, you can start writing down words that are new to you. You can put those in your spelling journal in one column, and make sure that you put all the words to the left of your notebook paper, and then you can also practice these on a different sheet of paper by practicing the spelling or writing a sentence using the word and so on. That might help. Okay, let's address everything here. So you really, honestly, if you want to go from 61 to 80, you have to solve a lot of problems in a lot of areas. Okay, so the main thing is regular study I think regular study over an extended period of time is going to help you get the results that you seek, right? So I'm going to give you some recommendations right now, and I'm not going to make any promises. To be honest with you, you probably need more than 2 to 3 months. You probably need somewhere from 3 to 6 months, I think, before you can go from 61 to 80 based on the language issues you're having right now. But maybe you can solve them faster. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to recommend is a routine 45 minutes of reading every day. This is probably the most important thing you can do to help you improve your academic English language proficiency. So your goal here is to sit down today, not tomorrow, not the next day, but today. You want to sit down before you do any kind of English study. You want to get a newspaper, a magazine, or a book, and your goal is to read it for 45 minutes without taking a break. That means without looking at your phone, without answering the door, without talking to anybody, without going into the kitchen to get something to eat. You simply need to get used to reading in English. Remember that your language, you're used to reading from right to left, and your brain will take some time to get used to that left to right reading pattern. So you have to do that first. That's going to be number one. Now, if you can't read for 45 minutes, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is, let's say you read for 10 minutes today without stopping. Well, the next day try to read for 15 minutes. The next day try to read for 20. Your goal is to try to get to the point where you can read every day for 45 minutes. My recommendation for you is to read things you have an interest in, not boring TOEFL books. The main thing here is you're getting used to concentrating in English when you read. That's really my first suggestion. You have to do this for several months before you will get any significant results at all, but you will get good results. All right, number 2. Again, about 45 minutes of listening every day. In this case, you again choose the materials that you want to practice. If you have English TV, you can focus on news, documentary, history, and also science programs. That would be very, very effective for you. That's what I recommend there. Now, if you don't have English TV, there's 3 websites I recommend. National Public Radio. You can also use TED Talks. And then Randall Cyber. This is also a great website. These are 3 good websites that you can practice. Now, the main thing here, and this can help you with your spelling too, is you should get in the habit of note-taking. You want to focus on the main and the most important supporting points of these reading and these listening passages. Note-taking is very, very important for the TOEFL IBT exam. In fact, it's one of the keys to helping you get a higher score. I have interviewed a lot of students who have gotten over 100, and every one of them recommended note-taking as probably one of the most important strategies for the exam during the reading, especially the reading section of the exam, and then the listening and the writing and the speaking. Remember, during the reading section, if you're taking notes, maybe 1 or 2 words you may write on a sheet of paper about each paragraph that you read. That helps you stay focused on the information, and your mind is a lot less likely to be distracted if you're writing down the key points of what you read. Now, using your notes, you should be writing and speaking about this information. For example, let's say that you read some story about ISIS fighters in Iraq, right? So you read the story about ISIS in Iraq or Syria. When you're done, you want to write maybe 250 words. You want to re-explain that information using your own vocabulary and your own grammar. You can also check for spelling. As you re-explain the information, you can look at the words that you're writing and compare them with the words from the reading passage. This is important. Your goal here is to write 3 summaries each week. Each summary should be 250 words. This is very important. Remember, you have a lot of writing issues right now. The second thing that you should be doing is you should be speaking about this information. Your speaking skills are not that good. 17 out of 30 is not that good at all, and especially given the fact I actually teach a lot of Saudi students at my university, and typically they're pretty good with speaking. They enjoy speaking. They like to interact with other people. They're very lively. So I think your speaking skills should be even better than what they are. Anyway, you should be doing maybe 3 to 5 oral summaries each week. That means, again, you're using your notes from a reading or listening passage, and then you're speaking about that information. Your oral summary should be about 60 seconds long. Focus on the most important supporting points of a reading or listening passage. You should even record your voice reading. Actually, record your voice talking about the reading or the listening passage. 3 to 5 of these each week are important. Now, I say record because you need to become more familiar with any pronunciation, language use, or topic development problems that you're having. Now, my next suggestion is as you're doing this practice, this 45 minutes of reading, 45 minutes of listening, and then you're writing and speaking about this information on a week-to-week basis, I'm also going to recommend 1 to 2 hours going through my online TOEFL course. I'm not going to recommend a specific study guide for you because, quite frankly, it may take you longer than 2 to 3 months to learn all the information you need to learn in order to significantly improve your academic English language abilities. So my recommendation is for the first month or 2, depending on how long it takes you, go through my vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar lessons. Do that first. Once you go through the vocabulary lessons, you will have acquired 1,700 TOEFL words. That's going to have a very big impact on your academic English language abilities. So once you finish the first 3 sections of my course, then go through the reading and the listening sections next. This may take another 1 or 2 months. And then finally, you can complete the speaking and writing portions of my course. That would be my recommendation. So you're probably looking at a minimum of 3 months, maybe as many as 6 months before you reach the goal that you seek. And what you can do is, if you get a little bit restless in your study and you want to mark your progress, I do have in the 8th section of my course, you can take a full-length IBT practice test. There are benefits to doing that. First of all, if you take a full-length IBT practice test, you will become more familiar with the structure and the format of the TOEFL exam, number 1. Number 2, you will learn what your strengths and weaknesses are in the test, and you'll have a chance to mark your progress to see where you are. And number 3, this is important, is you'll get used to you'll have the stamina and the strength that you need to complete a 5.5 hour exam. A lot of students can't concentrate during the TOEFL exam because they've never taken a practice test before. They just show up and try to take an exam for 5 hours and pretty much they're asleep by the time they get to the end of the exam. So you need to get used to it. So I think maybe after about 2 or 3 months you can take a full-length IBT practice test at my website. Then you can get a chance to mark your progress. All right, so those are my recommendations. So my recommendation for you is you're looking at probably 3 to 5 hours of study every day. You're doing some reading practice. You're doing some listening practice. You're actually speaking and writing about this information. And then you're spending 1 to 2 hours going through my online TOEFL course as I suggested in this video. So you will be able to make progress. It'll take time, but you'll even notice as you read more and as you focus a lot on your note-taking and as you start completing writing practice tests on my website, you will eventually begin to improve your spelling, but more importantly, you will improve your vocabulary, your pronunciation, your grammar, your listening, reading, writing, and speaking areas. You will improve in all those different things. This is why I call my course the 7-Step System to Pass the TOEFL IBT. I help you improve your English in all 7 of these areas, which will really make it much easier for you to complete your graduate program here in the United States. Now, I say graduate. You didn't say you wanted to go to a graduate program, but if you want to get 80, I'm assuming that you probably want to study in a graduate program, because a lot of those programs have a minimum of 80 as requirement before you can get accepted into those universities. All right, anyway, thank you very much for your comments, and all the best to your high-scoring TOEFL success.